What's up, everybody? It's the Benchwarmers, and we're back for a third installment of the 2021 NBA Draft Prospect Series that we've been having. Thank you so much for your support on the past two videos. Hopefully, we can get some similar support on this video, and please like and subscribe as we go to our third prospect we'll be covering, Jalen Green.
Jalen Green grew up playing sports like basketball and football. In sixth grade, he started to take basketball more seriously as he played for an AAU team and played for 5 hours a day. Fast forward to high school, and he was a star at San Joaquin Memorial High School. As a freshman, he averaged 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 steals per game. As a sophomore, he averaged 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 1.6 steals per game. As a junior, he averaged a staggering 30 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. And he led his team to the regional championship game. Before senior year, he transferred to Prolific Prep, which specialized in basketball. And over there, he averaged 32 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. And he set the school's single-season scoring record with 1,008 points. He also won a plethora of awards, such as the Sports Illustrated All-American Player of the Year, and he was also invited to the McDonald's All-American game.
Aside from a successful high school career, Green has also represented Team USA 3 times in international youth tournaments, winning gold at all 3 events. The first was the 2017 Under-16 Americas Championship, where he averaged just 9.8 points. However, he played a much larger role at the 2018 Under-17 World Cup, winning tournament MVP with 15.7 points, 2.3 rebounds, and 1.7 assists per game. Finally, he averaged 10.1 points and 1.7 steals per game in the 2019 Under-19 World Cup, despite being the youngest player on the team. His combination of high school and international success led him to become a 5-star recruit, even ranked #1 in the nation by ESPN. Despite receiving offers from some of the best college basketball programs in the nation, he decided to enter the G League and signed a $500,000 contract with the newly formed Ignite. He led them to the playoffs alongside fellow draft prospect Jonathan Kuminga with 17.9 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 2.8 assists per game. Unfortunately, they lost to the #1 seed Raptors 905 in the first round, despite Green scoring 30 points with 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals.
Jalen Green is the best all-around scorer in this draft, regardless of position, and the current success of guards with his skill set is why he is being drafted so high. He has a great all-around scoring ability, as he uses his slender frame, quick speed, and raw athleticism to get a bucket anywhere he wants. He finishes efficiently at the rim despite his lack of physical size, and his mid-range and three-point game are above average for starting guards in the league, which is amazing for just a prospect. However, what separates him from others in the draft is that he's been performing this well versus grown men who are vying for NBA contracts, not D1 college athletes. That being said, there's not a whole lot else to his game besides scoring. He had 1.5 steals a game, but don't let that fool you, because he's been atrocious at times as an off-ball defender, at several times allowing his guy to cut to the lane and finish easily at the rim. He's an average rebounder for his position and had as many turnovers as assists in his G League stint. Jalen Green, however, has more experience than any of the other top prospects playing against and alongside grown men with NBA-level talent. So despite his weaker stature and young age, he should be one of the more NBA-ready prospects in this draft. This gives him sky-high potential as he develops into his frame.
Now that we've talked about Jalen Green's come up, we'll move on to the discussion part of this video, where each of us will give one important take on his game, and I'll start off with his weaknesses. So while Jalen Green may be a phenomenal prospect, we still think it's important to discuss his flaws since we're closely analyzing all of his traits. So starting off, I think one important flaw is his passing, and that's because he's great at creating shots for himself and finding shots for himself after pick and rolls, but he's not an elite passer since he only averaged 2.8 assists per game in the G League. So if he really wants to reach his maximum offensive potential, or if he wants to sort of fill in Harden's role after they traded him away, or take some burden off of John Wall, he'll need to develop better as a playmaker. And also another important weakness is his defense. And as Aki sort of hinted, he lacks the tenacity and intensity of most defenders of his size. His hands won't always be active on the defender and also in the passing lanes. So as a result, he's not a very good on-ball and off-ball defender. And also, his frame is not that elite for a defender. He's only 6'5", and I guess that's not that bad by itself. But he's also only 180 pounds, so he's relatively small compared to some other players in the NBA. So that means he lacks the defensive versatility that other players like Mobley have. So he'll only be able to defend smaller guards, and on top of that, his defense isn't that good. But he's only 19, and he has a lot of time to develop. So I'm still optimistic about his defensive potential.
A few weeks ago, we thought that Mobley was going to be the consensus #2 pick, but now it seems like the Rockets are leaning towards Jalen Green. It may seem strange for them to take him, considering they have John Wall and Kevin Porter Jr., but Wall is probably not going to be playing every game, especially back-to-backs, because there's really no incentive for him to be playing that much, considering where the Rockets are at right now in their rebuild. Because of that, KPJ and Green can form a young, high-scoring backcourt that can develop together as the Rockets continue the rebuild, but they both lack the playmaking and defensive ability to be true top-level guards in the league. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform in their first year together. On the other hand, the Rockets could pass on Green and let the Cavs take him instead. They also have a somewhat strong backcourt with Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, but there are reports that the Cavs may be looking to trade one of them, especially if they do end up drafting a guard at the #3 spot. So that could open up a starting spot for Jalen Green.
Now we get to talk about the fun stuff, the draft comparisons. These often can be wildly off or wildly accurate, but here's what I think personally about what Jalen Green looks like if he comes to the NBA and what players we see today or in previous years who have been somewhat like him. So for starters, I think the normal player comp is Bradley Beal. That's been said quite a lot. I think that he is a great scorer with not too much else in his game. I think that that's where Jalen Green stands right now. Decently athletic, not the best frame, not the best defender, but has a lot of potential offensively as a scorer. And yeah, so I think that's his even comp. That's probably the best comp that there is out there. But then for more of a floor ceiling, I have at the floor, I think he'll be at worst a player like Jordan Clarkson, or a good scorer, a good bench producer, can average 15 points a game. I don't think he's really going to be that much worse. Another player in that category might be a guy like Tyreek Evans when he was in the league. And then I think his ceiling absolutely is Tracy McGrady, could be the best scorer in the NBA. And I know Tracy McGrady had a bit bigger of a frame, but Jalen Green plays a bit bigger and is also very athletic like T-Mac. So I think he could be one of the most offensive potent weapons in the NBA. And I think that he could become a fan favorite because of that. But yeah, that wraps it up for our discussion part and the analysis of Jalen Green as a prospect. We wish him good luck in the NBA. But this is it for us today, the Benchwarmers, and we're signing out. See ya.